Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons. I've got my pop filter, I'm back in my flat, and I am wearing my usual hat. Oh my goodness, yes, the trilby I've been wearing in the first half of this year's VEDA, that's staying at home, but that's okay because I'm gonna be home in about a month anyway. I was about to say anyway twice. Anyway, it's the 16th day of VEDA, it's the first day of the second half of VEDA, it's the 16th of April, and I'm back up north, and weirdly enough that means I've got a perfect 50-50 split between parts of VEDA that I did at home in the south, and parts of VEDA I'm doing up here in my flat in the north. So, yeah, Thursday, it's time for another top 10, and I'm going to make it another top 10, I think. It's going to be a gaming-related one, so let's dive straight in. Now, this top 10, I will say, this is the one that I prepared. Well, I prepared this well ahead of time, but this is the one that I was going to do last week, but the Wednesday vlog was kind of already too gaming related, so I ended up... I did prepare 4 top 10s for this VEDA, but this was a long time in advance, and my plans have changed since then, so I think this is the only pre-planned top 10 that I'm actually going to do for this month's VEDA, and I think next week I'll do a top 5 just to round it all out nicely. So, this top 10 is the top 10 womb levels in video games from my experience. Now, I don't have the TV Tropes definition memorized, but I'll put a link to it in the description. But essentially, a womb level is a level in a video game, in whatever shape or form or capacity that may take, that's set inside the body of a living creature. Now, that doesn't have to necessarily be a womb, it could be a stomach, it could be a brain, it could be anything like that. Now, the reason why, anything like that, if I can enunciate, the reason why I've chosen this for a list is I absolutely fucking hate womb levels. They are disgusting. I'm not squeamish, they just bother me. They're just innately wrong. I just cannot. I just can't even. And as is the norm with top 10 lists that pertain to video games, one game per franchise, no duplicates. And I've barely had a chance to look over the list since I made it, but I'm just going to trust past me's judgment. Past my judgment? Anyway, number 10, and this is actually relevant because I wrote this list before I started my current Let's Play projects, but Vision 4-6 from Klonoa Dream Champ Tournament. Now, it's not presented as a womb level. As I said at the time, it's one of those damn water levels, and it's just... There isn't really much to say about it, it's just... You can tell from the background it's inside a whale, you can see a ribcage, because that totally makes biological sense. If you get into something's stomach, you can totally see its ribs, but that's a common feature of womb levels anyway, so I wouldn't hold it against it too much. But yep, it was a level, and as I recall, World 4 is where fun things have happened in that Versus. Not really much else to add about it, because it's not particularly memorable, and that's why it's at space number 10. Ninth is, what was Yube from Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. It took me a very long time, and the input of someone else, I forget who, but shout out to you, whoever you are, to work out that the name Yube derives from Yoshi Shroob. Because the Shroobs are the main antagonists of the game, and it's the dungeon of the Yoshi's Island, but Now, as I recall, it does tick the absolutely fucking disgusting box that is a prerequisite of a womb level, and again, I don't find it super memorable, but I know the boss was an egg-themed thing called Sunnyside, but spelled with a C, so it's like eggs, Sunnyside, but also side as in the suffix meaning killing of, so that's clever. And I vaguely remember the puzzles of it, and shout out to the entire game of Bowser's Inside Story, which essentially took that dungeon and turned it into an entire game and gave it a few more mechanics, but yeah, it's a thing. Now, sticking with the theme of RPGs, and this is a game that I kind of want to Let's Play, but it would require a lot of effort. Number 8 on the list is the area referred to as Mummy's Tummy from Ni no Kuni. And it's an adorable name, and an adorable but creepily disgusting area. Now, for some context, in the world of Ni no Kuni, well, in the eponymous Ni no Kuni, which is Japanese for second country, or, well, in this case, another world, one of the races that inhabit that world are fairies, and all fairies are Welsh. And they all came from, and this game is based on puns like this, the fairy godmother. So she's this giant boob-shaped mountain who is also a fairy, and she sometimes gives birth to a load of fairies at once, and so on her inside, it's not really a dungeon or even a level. It's just sort of an area and then a boss. But her interior is a nursery. were they high when they made it? When they made that a thing? So it's both literally a womb level and not a womb level. Like, it is a womb, but it's not a level, and I think that's the only actual womb level that's on this list. Anyway, 7th on the list is the level Invasion of the Body Invaders from Little Big Planet 2, another game that I would consider Let's Playing. Now, this one, again, isn't super much of a level, but I think, as I recall, it's just a boss, and I barely remember how it works, but I remember it being a rather clever one. And I think beating that opens my favourite cutscene from that game, and I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Oh yes, the most sense you'll hear all day. Just go onto YouTube and search for that. In fact, I'll include a link to that video in the description, because that is the greatest cutscene I've ever seen in any video game ever. Although, as levels go, I seem to recall it being clever and creative, but that's about it. 6th on this list is a game that I've actually already completed Let's Playing, The Red Caves from Anodyne. Now, the jury's still out on whether or not it's actually a womb level, although all of the signs seem to point to it being, it's taking place inside the creatures, and I don't really want to explain too much about the level itself, because if you want some context, you can just watch my Let's Play of it, and I believe Austin and I spent some time discussing the symbolism of the Red Caves in the closing video of that series, so I've kind of already spoken about what it is and what it symbolises, but in short, it takes place in the bodies of these creatures who, in order to be born, their mother dies while giving birth to them, and so they don't want to be born, and so there's this idea of symbolism of fearing independence, fearing gaining independence, and the repercussions that would have for not only oneself but also other people. And Anodyne is heavily based on symbolism, and that reminds me, I hadn't even started playing, and I hadn't even got to the point of obtaining Anodyne to Let's Play when I originally made this list, so there you go. 5th on the list is one that I don't remember too well, but at the same time I remember it very well because it's just sort of, it's stuck in there. And that's the interior of the water dragon from Okami. And shout out to the boss Blight, which takes place inside the stomach of the Emperor of Seian City, if I remember rightly. But yeah, inside the water dragon, that was a thing that happened. It's surprisingly pretty for what it is, and I think it's a retextured version of an earlier area of the game, but don't quote me on that. I seem to recall that being the case. But for a womb level, it was incredibly pretty, but also incredibly disturbing, because you got the pulsing shit, you've got, I dare say, stomach acid? It's some kind of acid, and you go in through the dragon's mouth, so I'm assuming it's stomach acid. So as womb levels go, it's pretty, but, I mean, womb levels just by their nature are disgusting, so apparently I'm just levularly racist. Now then, number 4 on the list, and rightly so, is Inside Jabu's Belly from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And minor shout out to the dungeon of the same name from Oracle of Ages, but that didn't really have the same impact because you can barely tell it's a womb level. But this was the original womb level for me. It was the first inside a body level I'd ever encountered in my history as a gamer, and honestly, it brought my progress through Ocarina of Time to a grinding halt as a child, because when I got to the dungeon for the first time as a child, started just entered, saw the first room, and just noped out, just like nope, not touching this. This is a thing that I will not do. And I put the game down for many years and did not play it until I was about 3 or 4, possibly 5 years older. So there was a lot of Ocarina of Time that I missed out on because this one level, there was no, the dungeon itself isn't that bad, it's just, it's creepy and gross and icky, but in Master Quest they have random cow switches, there are cows embedded in the walls and you shoot them and they act like switches, and that's cool, but also, why? Although, I feel like Austin on Sugar would really approve, and I don't know if he's aware of it or not, but if he watches this video, then congratulations, you're now aware that Master Quest had cow switches. 3rd on the list, another classic N64 game, Clankers Cavern from Banjo-Kazooie. Now, I did have something of a problem with this level as a child. First of all, as a child, actually getting into the womb level section, because I think this is the only one that's on this list that is actually only partly womb level. There's more level around it, but a lot of stuff happens inside the belly of Clanker, who is a giant robotic whale that is also a rubbish compactor. It makes sense in context. And I would Let's Play the game, but I can't think of a single N64 game that hasn't been Let's Played to death as it is, so I probably won't. Unless I can think of some clever way of doing it. Versus perhaps, oh wait, that's been done. Well, screw you too, Game and Pie. But, yes, I had trouble with it as a child because, first of all, I had this psychological problem. I was at odds with the notion of swimming all the way down to the bottom of the area and then swimming through the keyhole 3 times. And again, it's not hard, but child me found it too hard to even bear considering. And then getting into Clanker himself, that sounds wrong out of context. Like, the inside, like, it's weird because it shouldn't be all that biological because it's a robot whale. But it's still, it's really well done for what it is because, like, it looks like the inside of a whale, but at the same... Well, not that I'd know, but at the same time, it also looks like, rusty and mechanical. So it's really well designed, and that's probably why it bothers me so much, because, it's got those little whippy tentacle things, and womb levels bother me. Now, second on this list, this is kind of a controversial one. It's not really a level... Like the 2 examples on this list that are actual wombs aren't levels, but this is a very obscure one, and I don't really have a name for it. On my list, it's just that bit with the babies from LSD Dream Emulator. Now, when I wrote this list, that game was still obscure, but it's had a resurgence in popularity recently. But there's a section of the map where I don't remember whether it's the area with the giant pit with the elephant that flies out of it, or the area with all the world landmarks and stuff, but either way, if you go out one of the exits, you end up in a sumo ring, and you go past that, you're in a load of intestinal tunnels or something, where it's distinctly inside a body-like in terms of texture, and it's just all kinds of horrible. And you get to one sort of... If you keep following the tunnels, eventually you'll reach this circular room full of these little dancing chubby baby things. So, yes, it's a womb, but it's also like... I mean, I'm talking about all this as if it makes sense. Like, yeah, that pit with the elephant. Yeah, I'm sure... Like, to someone who hasn't played the game, yes, it's one of those games. Anyway, honourable mentions between second and first in this list. I would mention Jonah from Spyro Year of the Dragon. Not really a level, it's just a one-off thing in the evening lake homeworld where you can go inside a whale and get a free MacGuffin out of it, but yeah. And the meat circus from Psychonauts, which isn't a womb level, it's a circus with meat integrated into it. But it has good music. Anyway, top number 1 spot on this list is Chapter 23 of Kid Icarus Uprising, Lord of the Underworld. Arguably one of the most surreal chapters of the game. For some context, you're playing as Pit, who I think is a representative of Apollo, the messenger god, or something, I don't know. Anyway, you're playing as this angel called Pit, but well, honestly, if you haven't played the game, then that's kind of... You should go and at least watch someone play through it, if not play through it for yourself. But it's kind of a spoilers, but at that point in the game, you've realised that the antagonist in the first half of the game actually isn't the main antagonist after all, and then Hades, the king of the underworld, pops up, and at this point, Pit is about to fight him. It's supposed to be all final bossy and whatnot, but then Hades just sort of eats him. And then he has to fight his way out from the inside. And that's, disturbing on so many levels. The boss of the level is Hades' heart. And then, I think after that, Hades tells Pit somehow from, I don't know how he communicates to the inside of himself from the outside, but he tells Pit that the only way out is the natural way out. And that's, as womb levels go, that one has the strongest implications, because not only is it disgusting and cellular and icky, it also ends in a poop joke. So that's why it's number 1 on this list. Yes, the best thing on this list is a poop joke. I thank you. In any case, I have been able to continue to be Tessellating Hexagons. I'm back in my flat, I have a pop filter, I'm wearing my nice hat, everything is good with the world except for the fact that I have to be here for a month, but I've whined about that already. So I will see you in whichever video of mine you happen to watch next, if you choose to do so. Bye bye.